So, last week I did my top 10 childhood retro cartoon crushes. Chitara deservedly won. Do watch it if you haven't already. It's not weird or creepy or anything. Just to prove that I'm not a sexist pig, this week I'm doing my top 10 sexiest retro cartoon dudes. But I am not going to be doing sexiest retro cartoon animals, all right? But, just for the record, the Pink Panther would win quite easily. Him or the new Shmoo, anyway. At 10, we have Dick Dastardly. Now, I know that Dick is not a particularly nice chap, but I like to see him as very much a sort of Leslie Phillips type of character. He's a cad, a bounder, a piece of work, a rogue. And, you know, we love rogues, don't we? That's where the phrase lovable rogue comes from. And I actually think he might be quite charming, or could be quite charming, if he wanted to be, in a slightly creepy way. I see him as an old-fashioned rake, refusing to be tied down by any woman. He prefers the single life so he can focus on his life goals, like winning wacky races. And there's something admirable in that, I think. And it's also his very unavailability that makes him attractive. Could you be the one to tame him or domesticate him? And is he really all that bad? I mean, he's a dog lover. No one who's ever loved dogs has been a bad person. Apart from people who use them for fighting. And Hitler, he had dogs. He wasn't that great. He had a dog called Muckle, which is actually German for Muttley. But still, it's not like I'm putting Dick in the top 3, is it? I can't remember much about the seemingly endless search for gold in the mysterious cities of gold, and frankly, that doesn't matter because the most important thing about that show was its banging theme tune. We're here, of course, for Mendoza, who was a bit of a conflicted character. On the one hand, he could be quite a good man, but on the other, he was obsessed with gold. But we're not here to talk about his character. We're here to talk about his looks. And Mendoza was all kinds of handsome, with lush hair, a nice smile, and a really cool cape. He was also the absolute king of the look back over the shoulder smolder. He may also be the only cartoon character in history to have an action figure better looking than the original. I bet if he's still alive today, still searching for those mysterious cities of gold, he must be one hell of a silver fox. Now, I hadn't really considered putting Captain Planet on this list on account of the fact he's blue and he's got a horrendous mullet. Also, the only episode I can remember is when he was going around the world telling everyone to have less kids, which didn't seem that sexy. But then my wife said he should definitely be on the list. So I took another look and I thought, yeah, actually, he is quite fit. And also, if anyone can rock a mullet, it's Captain Planet. I think the real bonus about Captain Planet is that he's not even real. He's an amalgamation of 5 pretty decent looking lads and lasses. So if you are stepping out with Planet, when he's not being Planet, you can sort of rotate yourself round the other 5 and effectively have 5 spouses. Polyamory really is the spice of life. I know I said no animals, but to me, Mr. Willie Fogg is no animal. Yes, he may look like a lion, but he's also the absolute embodiment of the classic British gentleman. Kind, gentle, worldly, tough, impeccably dressed with flawless manners and able to pull a princess simply by raising a quizzical eyebrow. He's actually even better looking without the hat, and if he were to go into acting, I think he would make a first-class Mr. Darcy. What I wouldn't give to see him emerging from a Cold Lake, wearing most of his clothes. Also, he could sing.
Fogg, I'm the one who made the bet, and I know we'll be exactly right on time. Fogg is my name.
The total package. Who are you gonna call? That's right, my next hot dude comes from the real Ghostbusters cartoon. Now, if I was picking from the movie, I'd obviously go for Venkman because Bill Murray is a bona fide god, but I'm not. I'm picking from the cartoon. And the cartoon took a few liberties with the redesigns of the characters. For Ray, that meant a significant downgrade. Look, poor Dan Aykroyd deserved so much better. But there can be no doubt that Egon Spengler came out of it best. Harold Ramis wasn't bad looking, he was really cool, but they took him, gave him a radical Mr. Whippy-like blonde hairdo and a pair of wacky glasses and turned him into a genuinely hot, badass nerd. Still brainy, still kind, now hot. If that's not enough for you, I don't know what is. I remember very little of the Plastic Man comedy / adventure show, which to this day still sounds like the executive producers had a big row about whether to accentuate the comedy or the adventure, and so settled on both and no one was happy at all. Apart from the fact that me and my siblings used to love laughing at the end credits, found them hilarious. But that's not important. The important thing is that Plastic Man was a stud. He was so cool that he wore sunglasses all the time. He wasn't afraid to show off his manly chest, and
he can even dance.
Incredible. Plus, and I think this is crucial, he was made of plastic and therefore he could bend his body into any shape or size. Now, I don't think I need to elaborate, but I think we all know that Penny must have been a very, very happy lady. Maybe also quite tired. Cheetara came top of my childhood crushes last week, which means that a Thundercat has surely got to make it into this week's top 10 sexiest dudes. Although it's not a rule I've applied to the Flintstones for obvious reasons. And it was a pretty easy decision as to which Thundercat would make it. Snarf's really annoying, Lion-O's essentially a child, and Tigra somehow makes being part tiger seem quite boring. All of which leaves us with this stud muffin. Panthro. Panthro's easily the coolest and hardest of the Thundercats. Now I grant you, he does look a bit like a sort of half man, half panther who probably doesn't have a lot of time for romance, but I'd argue that makes him even more alluring. It feels like he is the classic tough guy with a really hard outer shell that feels impossible to penetrate. But if you can get in there, if you can get in there and touch that heart of his, get him to open up, to talk about the hurt that he's buried deep, deep down inside him. Convince him to go and see a therapist. I feel sure that what you'd get back is a wonderfully attentive lover. The vast majority of my picks here come from my childhood in the 1980s, but there is one character from the late 90s who should definitely be here.
Stand back, everybody. Rubble Man is here.
Johnny's arguably a little high on this list at 3, considering most of his adventures dealt with him trying and failing to attract women. But this was more down to his personality.
Man, you smell pretty.
If you ignore that, and for the purposes of this bit of shallow ranking, I think we should, the man was a hunk. Gorgeous blonde hair, the definition of a square jaw, muscles till Sunday, and like Plaz, he loved a pair of shades. Plus, he had Elvis's voice.
Wanna see me comb my hair really fast?
Maybe not exactly husband material, but for a holiday fling or an extramarital affair, he would be spot on.
Hey, Beverella, that's a pretty eensy-weensy, teeny-weeny polka dot thingy you got going there.
Okay, banging theme tunes are getting to be a bit of a theme here, but bear with me because this one might just be top of the shop.
Ulysses, always fighting all the evil forces, bringing peace and
how much Scof and the Gopher loved it. Absolute solid gold classic.
Ulysses, Ulysses, soaring through all the galaxies, in search of Earth, flying into the night.
Again, I remember almost nothing about the cartoon itself. I don't think it had anything to do with James Joyce. I do remember Telemachus and this thing called No-No, but of course the star attraction was the man himself, Ulysses. Bold as brass, stomping round the galaxy, hair down to his waist, big lush beard, piercing blue eyes and a fantastically long cape. He was all man, like a sort of young Brian Blessed, but yet somehow much more handsome. He'd take care of you too, wouldn't he? You'd feel safe when Ulysses was around. And I bet he's got a sense of humour as well, and he wouldn't mind you teasing him if when he ate his soup it sort of dribbled down into the soft curls in his beard. Yeah, husband material for sure. Defenders! I mean, this was a superb show, especially for connoisseurs of the cartoon cocksmith. I mean, you could take your pick here. It was an absolute smorgasbord of muscle-bound beefcakes. There truly was something for everyone. If you liked a bit of mystery and suave sophistication, then Mandrake was your man. If you preferred a great bard with a kind centre, then you'd like Lothar. And if you liked, well, Flash Gordon had nice blonde hair and used to play American football, so I guess that was his niche. But none of those three was quite as smoking as the Phantom. I mean, he had an eye mask, which is pretty sexy of course, but it had to be that all-in-one bodysuit that we all loved, that really showed off his ludicrously ripped body. Plus, he loved animals, and who doesn't adore a man who cuddles tigers? He was a real marvel. He was able to juggle being a single parent, being Lord of the Jungle, being the ghost who walks, and constantly saving the world all at the same time. Look how tender he was with his daughter Jeddah.
But we must stay here with the others to help defend the Earth. I can't allow you to return to Africa alone. I am only concerned for your welfare.
I know that, Father. That's what makes it so difficult.
A stone-cold dreamboat. Plus, I read that this Phantom was actually the 27th Phantom, which means there's like 26 other Phantom hotties running around the place. Apparently, I know absolutely nothing about comic books. Bye!